Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, we are going to go on the reading selection entitled The Black Stallion. The Black Stallion is an adventure story. The purpose of reading this story is to look for the key elements of the story structure while reading a story full of suspense, excitement, and adventure. We are going to deal with this story on 4 stages or 4 parts. Okay, so let us start with the first page of the story. So you open your book on page 600. This page is an introduction of the story that summarizes the plot and the main problem of the story or the conflict. Here is a list of the blocking vocabulary that might hinder your understanding of the events. So we have the word shipwreck, and it means ship destroyed completely, stranded, deserted or left alone, starving, dying of hunger, survive, stay alive, rely on, depend on. Now we are going to listen to the audio to answer some questions.
After being caught in a terrifying shipwreck, Alec Ramsey is pulled safely to shore by a wild black stallion that was also aboard the ship. They are the only 2 survivors, and they are stranded on a deserted island with only a seaweed-like plant called carrageen and the occasional fish to keep them from starving. Alec has been working hard to gain the horse's trust and to help the proud, frightened animal understand that in order to survive, the 2 of them must rely on each other and work together.
As this part of the story which you have just listened to clarifies some hints about the setting of the story and the main characters, also about the problem there. So we have to think now about the following questions. And you can pause the video and listen again or read from your book in order to find the answers to these questions. Question 1, what is the setting of the story? Question 2, what are the 2 main characters in the story up till now? Question 3, how might working together be important to the survival of Alec and the Black? Question 4, what is the main problem for Alec on the island? And question number 5, get a word that mean uninhabited or deserted. So take your time, and then I'll meet you again in order to check these your answers to these questions. Okay, so for the question, what is the setting of the story? We can see that the story took place on an uninhabited or isolated island in the past. For the question, what are the 2 main characters in the story? We can say that the 2 main characters are Alec Ramsey and the Black. Question number 3, how might working together be important in the survival of Alec and the Black? We can say that Alec and the Black have abilities that could help the other through this difficult time they have. Question number 4, what is the main problem for Alec on the island? Alec has been working hard to gain the horse's trust so they can work together to survive on that stranded island. And the last question, get a word that means uninhabited or deserted. The word stranded means deserted or uninhabited Nobody lives there. Now let us go to the second page of our selection today, page 601. And here is also a list of the blocking vocabulary that might hinder your understanding of the events. We can have the word obtain, which means get or find, boulder, which is a big rock, twitched, moved or trembled, hollow, empty space or low area, curling, becoming a clot or thick. Now we are going to listen to the audio, and then we're going to answer 3 questions about this page.
The next day, Alec set out to obtain more of the carrageen. As he neared the rocks, he saw the stallion standing silently beside a huge boulder. Not a muscle twitched in his black body. It was as if an artist had painted the black on white stone. Alec climbed down into a small hollow and paused to look out over the rocks below. Suddenly, he heard the stallion scream, more piercing, more blood-curdling than he had ever heard it before. He looked up.
So in this page, we can see that they are alone now on the island after the shipwreck, and Alec tries to find some of the plants on the island called carrageen in order to eat, as this is the only source of food on the island. And also there is the first spark of relationship between Alec and the black stallion, as Alec just saw him standing silently beside a huge rock, and it wasn't moving at all, as if an artist has painted the black on the white stone. And suddenly he heard the stallion's scream, and this scream was so scary that it caused the blood to clot in the veins of Alec. Now we're going to have some 3 questions, as we said, about this part of the story. The 3 questions are related to this part. Number 1, how would you describe the relationship between Alec and the black at this point of the story? Question number 2, the author says Alec hears the stallion scream in a way he never has before. What could this mean? Number 3, what does the phrase blood-curdling mean? Now you're going to take your time in order to review the page again and to try to find the answers to these questions. Okay, now you can check your work with me. First question, how would you describe the relationship between Alec and the black at this point of the story? We can say that they both are wary, cautious, watching each other from a distance. So they're starting to know each other as if they are strangers. And question number 2, the author says Alec hears the stallion scream in a way he never has before. What could this mean? The answer may be the horse might be hurt or sense extreme danger. Question number 3, what does the phrase blood-curdling mean? It means that the piercing scream of the horse makes the blood clot or thicken in the veins of Alec. Now you're going to review the 2 pages we have taken so far, and also the comprehension questions we have studied. Okay, now we're gonna start a new page, page 602, and also we start with the some of the blocking vocabulary that might hinder your understanding of the events. The word hind means back, hind leg means back leg, mighty means strong or powerful, halt means stop, pounded means hit something, Nostrils are the openings of the nose. Strewn, scattered or cut into pieces. Venomous means poisonous. Astounding means amazing or astonishing. Mane, the head of hair or the hair over the head. Broke means run away. Now you're gonna listen to the audio to find the answers to the following questions. And paragraph number 3, why is Alec confused by the black's actions? In paragraph number 3 also, what makes Alec question why the black killed the snake? In paragraph number 4, how would you describe the reaction of the horse to Alec's approach? So you're going to listen now to the audio in order to find the answers to these questions. Review the questions quickly again before we go to the listening audio. As you see here, this page is rich in information, so I want you to focus on the audio in order to find the answers to the related questions which we have discussed before.
The black was on his hind legs, his teeth bared. Then with a mighty leap, he shot away from the boulder toward Alec. Swiftly he came, faster with every magnificent stride. He was almost on top of him when he thundered to a halt and reared again. Alec jumped to the side, tripped on a stone, and fell to the ground. High above him, the black's legs pawed the air, and then descended 3 yards in front of him. Again he went up and down. Again and again he pounded. The ground in which Alec lay shook from the force of his hoofs. The stallion's eyes never left the ground in front of him. Gradually, his pounding lessened and then stopped. He raised his head high, and his whistle shrilled through the air. He shook his head and slowly moved away, his nostrils trembling. Alec regained his feet and cautiously made his way toward the torn earth, his brain flooded with confusion. There in front of him, he saw the strewn parts of a long, yellowish-black body and the venomous head of a snake, crushed and lifeless. He stood still. The suddenness of discovering life, other than the black and himself on the island, astounding him. Sweat broke out on his forehead as he realized what a poisonous snakebite would have meant, suffering and perhaps death. Dazed, he looked at the stallion just a few feet away. Had the black killed the snake to save him? Was the stallion beginning to understand that they needed each other to survive? Slowly, the boy walked toward the black. The stallion's mane swept in the wind. His muscles twitched. His eyes moved restlessly, but he stood his ground as the boy approached. Alec wanted the horse to understand that he would not hurt him. Cautiously, he reached a hand toward the stallion's head. The black drew it back as far as he could without moving. Alec stepped closer and to the side of him. Gently, he touched him for an instant. The stallion did not move. Again, Alec attempted to touch the savage head. The black reared and shook a little. Alec said soothingly, "Steady, black fellow, I wouldn't hurt you." The stallion quivered, then reared again and broke. 100 yards away, he suddenly stopped and turned.
So in this page, as Alec was watching the stallion just came ahead quickly, as fast as he could, and he just raised his legs, the front legs, and started jumping and pounding over something beside Alec on the ground. As surely Alec fell down because of the scene as he tripped or hit a stone while he was jumping, and he fell to the ground. The stallion just started hitting something on the ground, but Alec didn't know what it is. But when the stallion finished and he stand still again, Alec just looked beside him to see the venomous head of a snake crushed and lifeless. So the stallion here was killing a snake that was maybe going to attack Alec, so he saved his life. So Alec here was a little bit astonished and confused in the same time. So he asked himself some questions. Had the black killed the snake to save him? Was the stallion beginning to understand that they needed each other to survive? So he started now developing the relationship with the stallion by just stroking his mane or the hair on the head and saying to him gently, steady black fellow, I wouldn't hurt you. This was the start of the relationship, the actual relationship from the or between the two characters here, Alec and the black stallion. So now we're going to answer the questions which we have just read before listening to the audio. I reminded you of these questions again. In paragraph number 3, why is Alec confused by the black's action? The answer is he doesn't see what the horse is trampling and squashing everything on the ground. So he doesn't know what the horse was doing, and that's why he was a little bit confused. And in the same paragraph, what makes Alec question why the black killed the snake? And the answer, it appears that the black rushed to Alec's aid or help. Alec seems hopeful that the horse is starting to see them as a team or two friends. The third question in paragraph number 4, how would you describe the reaction of the horse to Alec's approach? And the answer, the black seems cautious but interested. He might want to befriend Alec, but he is still afraid. That's why when Alec just put his hand on his mane or hair and started to stroke him, he just stand still for a little, then he ran away or broke. Okay, now we're going to go to the next page, which is page 603, and in this page there are no blocking vocabulary that can hinder your understanding. It is a little bit a smaller page, and we're gonna just read this page in order to answer this question. What clue does the author give that Alec believes he had gained Black's trust? We're going to go now to the page in order to listen to the audio and then come back to answer this question. So, my dear students, just listen to this audio, please.
Alec gazed at him, standing there so still, his head raised high in the air. We'll get out of this somehow, Black, working together, he said determinedly.
Okay, now let's review the question again. What clue does the author give that Alec believes he had gained Black's trust? The answer of this question is Alec says, we will get out of this somehow, Black, working together. We will be survivors on this deserted island only by one way, which is working together as a team. So in the end of this part of the story, we're going to stop here in this part, hoping everything is clear and easy. See you soon, inshallah, in the second part. Your teacher, Ahmed Abdelaziz.